Spider-Man is pretty much the most financially successful solo superhero franchise of all time. But even with 2 origin movies, there still might be a lot you don't know about him. Those movies also caused a lot of misinformation about the character.
Change? Yeah.
So, here are 10 lies that you were told about Spider-Man. Let us know what your favorites are, and remember to push that red button to subscribe for more.
Best case, you're in for one monster of a dry cleaning bill.
The symbiote suit made Spidey stronger. While it's commonly thought that the alien symbiote that bonded with Peter Parker and eventually became Venom made him stronger, faster, and took away his morals,
Did the ooze actually upgrade my spiderness?
this isn't true. Spider-Man's symbiote actually only gave him organic webbing and a telepathic connection from Spidey to the suit. Most of what's commonly depicted in alien costume adaptations now, including Spider-Man 3, largely comes from the additions made by the hugely influential animated TV show in the 90s. Eventually, these ideas crossed back into the comics with Ultimate Spider-Man by Brian Michael Bendis. The idea of the alien costume crash landing on a meteorite, or otherwise being transported from space to Earth, is also something that only happens in adaptations. The suit originally bonded to Peter during the Secret Wars saga, and was actually influenced heavily by Deadpool, as its attempted bond with Deadpool served to make the symbiote more insane. Peter ditches the suit not because it's corrupting his morals, but because it was trying to permanently bond with him. Hair on his fingers stick him to walls. This myth probably makes more sense than its explanation. While it's commonly believed that Spider-Man clings to walls via hairs on his fingers the same way that an actual spider does, the truth is a lot weirder. 616 Spider-Man uses an electrostatic force to cling to objects. He subconsciously has mental control over the attraction between molecular boundary layers. In English, this means that he sticks to walls because he's using the force of attraction between molecules, meaning that if he were more aware of it, he would be able to stick any part of his body to any wall. The first Spider-Man movie instead chooses to explain it via the genetically altered spider's bite, rewriting his DNA and giving him small micro hairs on the tips of his fingers, which makes more sense in some areas and less in others. On one hand, it makes more sense that a spider could make you more like it, rather than give you a random power that just so happened to be spider-like. On the other hand, it makes you wonder how he can grip walls while in the suit. Peter let the robber go out of revenge. One of the most common depictions of Spider-Man is him letting the robber, who would ultimately kill Uncle Ben, go out of revenge. Most depictions show someone giving him a hard time and him refusing to help them.
Can't afford your milk, just step aside.
In the Sam Raimi original, Spidey refuses to stop the robber because his wrestling promoter deliberately paid him less than he had earned.
I missed the part where that's my problem.
The Mark Webb reboot, however, is more similar to Peter's reasoning in the comic. He just didn't want to get involved. His laziness and lack of responsibility gets his uncle killed, and it's his fault. Some adaptations try to make Peter less at fault for not helping, but this ultimately undermines a lot of the point of the character.
Silly spider, cats always land on their feet.
Black Cat is a Catwoman ripoff. Stop us if you've heard this one. A cat-themed cat burglar acts as a femme fatale love interest for a superhero who's attracted to them despite them both often being on opposite sides of the law. While it's true Black Cat on paper sounds a lot like Catwoman, in actuality, they're not that similar. Not only does Black Cat have more in common with myths surrounding cats, but she wasn't even intended to be a parallel to Catwoman, nor was she based off of her.
And hide the shame I feel.
Black Cat's creator originally planned for Black Cat to be a Spider-Woman antagonist. She was never supposed to be in Spider-Man when originally created. In fact, she was actually based off the Tex Avery cartoon Bad Luck Blackie, in which the cat gives bad luck to those who get too close, which is exactly what Black Cat does. He never had organic webbing. While organic webbing was originally a trait only held by the symbiote suit, Spider-Man did have organic webbing of his own accord in the comic books. Due to the success of the Sam Raimi movies, Marvel decided to mimic their interpretation of Spider-Man's powers, opting to give him organic webbing in a storyline that didn't completely add up. Spider-Man had organic webbing for quite a long period of time in the comic books, although he's now currently back with his web shooter. A lot of fans didn't like the change, and it was an early sign of Marvel being far too willing to change their comics in order to fit with their movies better.
You're acting so strangely, Peter.
Peter and Aunt May are related. Aunt May is one of the most important supporting characters in the Spider-Man comics. While Peter Parker's girlfriends have come and gone, Aunt May has been a constant. Her parental love for Peter has been ever present over the years, and what makes it all the more touching is that it endures in spite of the fact they're not actually related at all.
I know.
While Uncle Ben was related to Peter, being his father's brother, Aunt May is only related to Peter by marriage, and now legally they aren't related at all. But she doesn't care. She raised a child that wasn't even slightly her own and loved him like a son, which is a huge part of what makes her such a wonderful character. He met Harry, Gwen, and MJ in high school. Surely with all these new depictions of Peter meeting Gwen, MJ, and Harry in high school, they must have known each other since they were kids, right? Well, not quite. While cartoons and movie adaptations show these characters as all being friends as teenagers, this is only really true in the Ultimate Universe. The original Peter Parker didn't meet any of these guys until he was college-aged. While the depiction of these characters all in school together is certainly fun, with Peter having to juggle his social life with his superhero career, the comics weren't exactly like that. It was once Peter finally left high school and started attending college that the real Archie-inspired drama began, with love triangles and bad guys galore.
Remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, he never said it. Sorry to break it to you. But while the quote has been attributed to Uncle Ben in every single adaptation we can think of, and while it was later attributed to him in the comics, Uncle Ben never says with great power comes great responsibility. In fact, that's not even the quote. The actual quote comes from Stan Lee as the narrator, saying with great power there must also come great responsibility. The line is pretty hammy today, but it perfectly sums up Spider-Man as a character.
Is that understood?
It's now attributed to Uncle Ben, which is great. After all, it makes sense that the advice would come from his mentor and father figure, but he originally never said it. Sorry to be a party pooper.
I'm Peter Parker.
Tobey Maguire was the first live-action Spidey. While Tobey Maguire is usually considered the first actor to play the role of Spider-Man, this isn't true.
Oh no, go on. Would I know his name?
In fact, Nicholas Hammond, star of the 1970s TV series and its 3 made-for-TV movies, wasn't even the first man to play the wall crawler in live action either. Though he was the first to star in a cinematically released Spider-Man movie with the UK release of the original 1977 made-for-TV movie. The first live actor to play Spider-Man was actually Danny Seagren, who portrayed the web-slinger in the PBS skit series Spidey Super Stories. The show was aimed at young children and encouraged them to read. As a result, Seagren never gave Spider-Man a voice, but he was the first to play the character on screen when the show debuted in 1974.
You'll think I'm a stupid little girl with a crush.
Trust me.
He's married to MJ Watson. Not anymore. Sorry, fellas. While we're sure you don't want to be reminded of this any more than you already have, if anyone tells you that Spider-Man is married to MJ as of the making of this video, they're dead wrong. Because Joe Quesada thought it was a good idea to erase Spider-Man's marriage via a deal with the villain Mephisto. This decision was absolutely despised by comic fans the world over, and to this day, fans are waiting on a retcon that will probably never come. The reasoning was that Spider-Man being married aged the character too much, and that fans didn't want to see a married Peter Parker. Oh, how wrong they were.
Up and away, Web!
Well, that's all we have time for today. Were there any that you wanted to see covered? If so, leave a comment below and let us know. And be sure to subscribe to CBR for more videos. Thanks for watching.